Next item. This is about America and a small sample of food and beverage imports amongst three categories: animal-based, plant-based and beverage-based. And apart from a small downturn in 2008-2009, in line with the peak of the recession, which we have never come out of, despite so-called market experts, they know jack. Every year there's been a substantial increase of imports of these products based from 1999 through to the last results of 2017. The animal-based imports was 14.25 billion in 1999. By 2017, it was just over 34 billion. Plant-based imports was just over 22 billion in 1999. By 2017, it was 81.5 billion. Beverage-based imports, 1999, was 6.75 billion. By 2017, it was 21.75 billion. A drastic increase in imports of animals, meat, fish, vegetables, dairy, fruit, nuts, coffee, tea, grains, vegetable oils, sweets and cocoa all across the board. Why? In a deliberate policy to make this country reliant on other countries for all main products and not become self-sufficient. Look at the farming industry, absolutely shredded, almost out of existence in this country now, with less or no ability to produce enough food. This makes this country vulnerable to a systematic takeover unless the people, or the so-called lead people, wake up. Whilst we don't like to create or deliver fear on this show, and forget the ridiculously overblown coronavirus bullshit, that is the sleight of hand tactic they always use to cover up what is really going on. A systematic takedown and exposure of these high-level criminals. And suddenly people have forgotten Epstein, forgotten Prince Andrew, forgotten Brexit, forgotten the increasing series of cabal-laden companies' CEOs being fired, not resigned, fired, including two or three more today from the Wells Fargo Bank. Forgotten that most of them were fired due to pedophilia. Forgotten that the Nazi vaccine program being implemented on the people of New York. Forgotten the real Russian collusion by Clintons, Obama and Mnuchin and the Uranium One deal, and the Iranian criminality done by lead Democrats and their children like Pelosi, Kerry and John Biden plus Romney. Forgotten that the DNC can't count their own votes. Forgotten that Pelosi said she would resign if impeachment didn't go through. And a whole heap of other things, like KPMG servers, Rothschilds, Clintons, and an alt-media clown group are involved in high-level abuse and trafficking of children. That is how they distract you. And the treasonous media and their bot-like script readers need to be held accountable by the people. Shame them in their own communities, pillory them on their websites, and let them know we the people will not tolerate their lies and treachery. It is both our duty and moral obligation to do so. There is an ongoing national crisis within our borders currently that has been quietly ongoing whilst people argued over collusions, impeachments and personality contests. Our food store shelves have been emptying, Walmart the most obvious one. Personally, I started noticing it around 3 years ago, others now seeing it for themselves. Other things noticed now is increases in bank glitches, as they call it, that renders banking cards inoperable. Restrictions now placed on how much you can withdraw. ATMs not working. Why? Little to no supply is left is why. Even less so after the idiots managed to delete 1.87 trillion out of the stock market 7 to 10 days ago, which cannot be put back into the supply. The reasons behind the food shelves being empty or reduced is the money supply to pay for shipments, imports, are now dwindling rapidly. Recent videos posted aligned with on-ground confirms stating that our ports on the east and west coast are practically empty of arriving containers. Past videos showed cargo ships in large numbers parking way offshore and awaiting payments before docking, which never arrived and some turned back. The real danger now is this country comes to a grinding halt, as most of our goods are imports with little or no funds to pay for said imports. Supplies are and will grow low. Of course, they've brought in the coronavirus, which means now shops are emptying quicker now due to media-created panic. But what happens if supplies run out and cannot be replenished? Make no mistake, this country is now under full systematic attack on a financial level that has now become obvious of what this show and Kim has been telling you and those who had listened for at least the last 3 years. It is not a future event. It has happened and is increasing now. There is a real danger now of them starving us out due to ridiculous trade deals and a deliberate weakening of this country that relies heavily on imports. An imports imbalance means we are dependent on others. Others are told to restrict or stop us, and now our days of reckoning are upon us. It requires cool heads. It requires clever planning. It requires radical thinking to solve the issue once and for all. Proposals, ideas and plans are already in place if the right people do the right things. Should they not do that, we are potentially facing a Russian 1919 style hostile takeover of this country, which was stated as the Bolsheviks when it was actually the Zionists backed by the Black Sun and the Kali Ma worshippers. Don't believe me? Then fine. Carry on with normal activities and solutions because they all worked in the past, didn't they? Well, actually, no, they didn't. And our time is upon us. Radical thinking and radical solutions are now required. Tiptoeing softly only works for a while. Eventually, you have to exhibit real force and real actions, like now, before we become the next Argentina, Venezuela, Greece or Cyprus. We can carry on trying to integrate and dance about in their world, but their world is built entirely upon illusion. Or we can cut the damn cord on their world altogether and build and rebuild our world. A world in our image, not theirs. Our particular progress is continuing at a pace now, and why the frequency of attacks against us have risen. Our actions taken have put all clowns in a bad place now, which has led to their desperate attempts and measures. The details of our progress, if the public chaos is not enough, will be forthcoming in future shows when safe to do so. Hold on tight to your own progress. Do not let the external based peoples throw you off course or balance. All is playing out nicely in real terms. They stop the trust, not because it's fake like some jackasses make out, but because they can't control it. Eventually, we'll not need their input or infrastructure. We will build and deliver our own. I'm going to end the show with something I used to start with a long time ago. Take note of it. If you lead life in love and care, you will prevail. If you lead life in fear and anger, you will fail. Feel free for you to be the person you wish to be, not the person who conforms to what others want them to be. You are a multi-dimensional being operating simultaneously on many levels. You are not here to conform. You are not here to be stifled. You are not here to be enslaved. And you are not here to be abused. Or to compete with your friends, family, or neighbours. You are here to be the best you can be and do so as a crown of creation. Now go out with the confidence of who and what you are and excel in yourself, and in doing so, inspire others.